Okay, we are on. Welcome to today's live stream on the INFP types. And I am today introducing a new concept, really. It's the sibling types. I believe every type has 4 sibling types. What it is about a sibling? Well, they can appear like us, they have some similarities to us, but they are still slightly different from us. So that's why I like the term. I think sibling types are a great concept to help us explain why people get confused about their personality type and why we sometimes consider being different personality types than what we are. And what we are really trying to do here is we are trying to understand balance in ourselves. Because sometimes we borrow personality traits from other people. When you are around other people, it's natural to get affected a little bit by their personality. Even if you are the biggest individualist there is, you are subconsciously constantly taking in the energy and the motives and the personality traits of other people around you. And that can cause you to behave and to appear slightly differently than what you are. We can also train ourselves to be different at work or in school or in social situations because we believe it's better to be another personality type. So what you're doing is when you're trying to find out who you are is you are learning to accept yourself in your own process and how you think, and you are trying to understand yourself better. So if you haven't already, I suggest that you try my new personality test. It's the most extensive personality test online yet, if I can say so myself. It really gets down to and asks you questions about flow, what you like, what you prefer, what you value. That's how you find out who you are. Don't compare yourself too much to other people. Don't compare yourself too much to what other people tell you. Don't listen too much to other people. Focus on what you prefer, what you like, what you value. That's how you find out your test. So go over the questions, and when you think about them, when you answer these questions about yourself, think about what you like and what's important to you. And challenge yourself in this on a daily basis. Research the cognitive functions. As an INFP, research introverted intuition, introverted feeling, feeling perceiving, and intuitive perceiving. And think about those things in your day-to-day life and in work and in social situations. What do you really choose for? What do you really care about? What makes you the most happy? What we should be constantly doing is asking ourselves, am I happy? Am I enjoying myself? Am I having fun? Do I like this? Is this important to me? Does this matter to me? Sometimes we keep going around in autopilot. We're just doing things. We're not thinking about them. We're not mindful. So that's also something that's going to cause mistypes. Now, there are 4 common mistypes. The 4 most common mistypes for an INFP are either we think we're an INFP or we are ISFP, or we think we are INFP or ENFP, or we think we are INFP or INFJ, or we think we are INFP and INTP. And from the Myers-Briggs perspective, this has often been ridiculed. How can you think you're an INTP if you're an INFP? Well, first of all, both types are advisor types. So both of them are excellent feedbackers. Both of them have and can offer a lot of feedback into how we think about a situation and how we see a situation and how a situation should be. Both of these types can also borrow on each other's personality traits when in autopilot. So when you're just doing things and when you're not reflecting on them consciously or what you're doing, you can start appearing a little bit more like an INTP. What's happening when you go into the TP function and the IT function is you start just rationalizing things. You have your own emotional life that's very important to you, but you just turn it off. You just actively just don't reflect on your own personal situation. Feeling perceiving for an INFP, what does that do? It makes you consider yourself and your own situation, who you are, who other people are, what they want, what you want, and it's reporting constantly on a situation. This is my story, this is their story, this is what they are feeling, this is what I'm feeling. That's feeling perceiving. But you're not always actively using this, even though you should try to. You're not always actively engaged in this process, and sometimes you dismiss this in yourself, and that's when it's easy to fall into the INTP trap. So what you're constantly asking yourself while you do this is, okay, what is an INFP? First, INFPs have 4 common temperament traits that are very important. First, the INFPs are sensitive types. That's how you notice introverted feeling. What being sensitive means is, well, it means that you are going to take emotional considerations a lot more seriously. If another person feels a certain way, that's going to matter to you. What another person thinks about you, that's going to matter. What other people say, what other people want, that's important to you. Our personality, our purpose, our intentions, that's the most important to a sensitive type. So the fact that somebody was thinking about doing something, or that somebody was or felt a certain way in a situation, that can affect you emotionally, and it affects you more strongly than other people. So critical feedback from other people, that can hurt you, like feeling like other people don't like you, like other people are against you. Those things can hit INFPs more deeply than other types. And feeling misunderstood is a part of this too. Feeling like other people don't get you, or other people don't understand you. INFPs are original types, so they have the temperament of a philosopher, somebody contemplative. They need to think more. They need to think more about life. They need more existential awareness. They need to understand why. They need to understand why we're here, what we're doing, what the reason is for being here. They need that, and they need to process that frequently. They can't just accept reality at face value. They need to actively process reality. So when you're trying to force reality on an INFP, like at school, this is how the world works, this is how the system works, this is how society works, you're hitting their sensitivity, and you're hitting their philosopher, their inner philosopher, because it's like you can't just accept that as an introverted intuitive. You can't just take that. So what's happening is you are feeling like it feels like something difficult. INFPs can sometimes mistype themselves as ISFP personality types. And here in the ISFP subtype, there are two key differences. ISFPs use introverted sensing and sensing perceiving. What does sensing and perceiving do? Well, it keeps you active. It keeps you going. It keeps you on. It keeps you alert. It keeps you like responsive to life. So when things are happening around you, like bam, that person came into the room, damn, now that happened, now the coffee is done, now the water is boiling, now this is happening, that's sensing perceiving. Intuition and judging, that's the INFJ trait. Intuition and perceiving, that's the INFP trait. So INFPs, what they do is they like to bounce off changes. So NP, that's a bouncing process. It's like a bouncing ball in a sense. It's a what if. It is what if that. It's an alternative. It is a possible consideration that's happening in more mentally and more abstractly. What if that is going to happen next? What if that is about to change? What if this is going to come after this? NP, it reads the moment, but it doesn't read it physically. So it's not a physical experience. It's not, oh, suddenly I heard that happening. So INFPs are still quite oblivious to their surroundings and to what's happening around them. They can still miss out on quite a lot. It's their autopilot function. Sensing and perceiving is their autopilot function. So they're always going to lack that awareness. So what they try to do instead is they try to guess. They try to stay ahead of everything that's happening. The coffee is going to boil. The water is going to boil. Coffee doesn't boil. What am I talking about? The water is going to boil. That person is going to come in a second. This is going to happen. So it's always focusing on the future and the near future. So it's always trying to predict what's going to change from moment to moment. And this ability to predict is sometimes confused with introverted intuition or intuitive judging. That's not true. NP is focused on short-term changes in the moment, things that could happen next, things that could come to me. So the difference here is NJ is focused on long-term predictions. So in the future, 20 years from now, next month, next year, intuition and perceiving is focused on changes in the moment. So NPs, and this is important, INFPs, when you're thinking about INFJs, or if you're an INFJ, as an NP, you know that things are always constantly changing. As an INFJ, I don't know that. I'm not aware of that. I don't realize that. I believe there is a set long-term path that we are headed towards, no matter what. It's just going to get there, no matter what changes in what moment. So that's a cognitive bias I have. I believe there is a future that's going to come to be. And INFPs, they can see that, yeah, maybe there is a future in 20 years. That's possible. But what about that? What about if that happens? And what about if that happens? So INFPs have a lot more of have a lot more complex understanding of the future. Their understanding is always a lot more flexible, a lot more chaotic, a lot more scattered. There are multiple lines going in multiple directions. So as an INFP, you know you're an INFP when you know that you're thinking like this. When you're going into intuition and judging, and you're thinking and entertaining a prediction or predicting about something that's going to happen, you're always going to feel like, but what if it doesn't? So when INFPs engage in, INFJ processes, they're always going to go, but what if it doesn't? Sure, this could happen, but what if it doesn't? So that what if is a very important part of the INFP's personality. When you're looking at introverted sensing and comparing it to introverted intuition, what you're looking at is, first, introverted intuitives, they theorize. So they form an abstract map of how the world works. Introverted intuitives, they don't define the world. They don't say, this is how it is. When you ask an INFP, how is the world? What is the world? What does it look like? What is it shaped like? INFPs speak in general or abstract terms. So what they're going to be saying is, it's something like this. It's a little like this. It's ness. It is ish. It is about, kind of. It's never certain. Introverted sensing, is certain. This is how it is. This is how it looks like. This is how it's shaped. So it deals with facts. It deals with things we can know. It deals with things that we can feel for certain. So, of course, INFPs can engage in that and can understand that. But what happens? Well, introverted sensing, it bores the crap out of you. Things that are certain are almost automatically tuned out of the INFP's mind. So it's like, sure. So INFPs are feeling like everything is abstract. Everything is more or less a little bit. You can't define things. You can't put labels on things. You can't narrow it down completely because it's nothing is that clear. Everything's a little bit vague. Everything's a little bit open-ended. Everything is a little bit theoretical. So the certainty of introverted sensing bores you because it tries to narrow down what you are always seeing as something more fluid or watery. And that feels just wrong. And the sensing and perceiving that constant action and that constant being hit by things, it feels stressful and overwhelming, and it hits you on your highly sensitive nature. Like it hits your sensitive side. Intuitives, we don't like when reality just happens to us. We don't like when the door is just slammed in our face. We don't like when there's a sudden noise, when there's a sudden thing happening that we were not aware of. Intuitives actually hate being distracted by reality and by physical things and by concrete things and things unless they can predict it. So intuitives, we are generally more abstractly inclined types that we want to predict, we want to understand, we want to comprehend, we want to explain, we want to theorize, we want to have patterns, we want to see opportunities, we want to be chasing and tracking and searching and finding clues. That's what you're doing. So when sensing comes to you, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming in the sense that it feels too loud. Intuitives are a lot more sensitive to sensory stimuli than sensors. We're a lot more sensitive because something that hits us that we didn't predict, that we didn't understand, that we didn't comprehend, that we didn't have in our existential framework, that didn't exist in our inner reality or our map of the world, it hits us in a negative way, and it feels bad, and it feels like slightly disconcerting. What's happening is it's like it's draining you mentally. It's making you first feel bored, and it's also draining you in the sense that it feels like it's taking and sucking the energy out of you. When life is happening to you and it's outside your framework, and you have to fit it in your framework, and you have to put it in there, just cram it in there, it's just exhausting. It's like lifting weight. It's like just having something taken out of you in a sense. So it can cause you to feel quite drained and quite bored and quite zombie-like even. Think about those days when you're out and you're on the streets and it's loud and everything is just like, and you don't even want to be there. Think about being to a party you didn't even want to go to. Think about having to take and deal with some chores in life, having to deal with routines and having to deal with practical matters. All those things just sucks your energy out of you. So it's a difficult thing. Ideally, when you can, you want to use your intuition to solve your problems, because intuition gives energy. Sensing takes energy. You have energy, so if you need to, of course, you should do it. And if you have no other choice in the moment, do it, of course. If the water is boiling, fine, and you didn't predict it, fine, just go and pour it anyways and just deal with it. But when you can, try to use intuition. So I'm going to get to another mistype here, and it's the ENFP mistype. ENFPs and INFPs can be quite similar, and they're often confused with one another. Why are they confused? Well, there's extroverted intuition. In the traditional model of the INFP and the ENFP, it's said that, well, they're the same type, but just with a different variation, just a different preference. So INFPs use a little more introverted intuition and a little more introverted feeling. ENFPs use a little more extroverted intuition, and introverted feeling is a little more like an auxiliary process. And what that basically means is INFPs use extroverted intuition when growing. INFPs use extroverted intuition as an opportunity, as a possibility, something to chase down, something to understand, something to interpret, something to study, something to figure out. So it's something you're trying to figure out. It's something you're trying to just understand and to fit with your mental framework with introverted intuition. ENFPs perceive extroverted intuition as their flow. It's their energy. It's their possibilities. It's their opportunities. It's making and transforming reality. It's interpreting and transforming and changing and warping reality. It's ENFPs are dealing with warping reality and transforming things and making things different, changing things. Basically, ENFPs are going in and adapting intuition. They are adapting types. INFPs are advising types. So INFPs are just trying to understand. They're just trying to know how does it work. ENFPs are trying to transform and change and alter and adjust. So they're using extroverted intuition to perceive opportunities and possibilities and using it to transform the situation. They think that could become that if I did that. And then they do that. And then they go into introverted intuition as their auxiliary process, just for the pursuit of growth, just to back up what they're doing. Okay, so why am I doing this? So why am I transforming this? Why am I changing this? Why am I adjusting this? For what reason? So ENFPs, they go into introverted intuition just to understand, just to get some advice and some feedback. So it's like going to somebody else for questions, like, so why are we doing this? So for what reason? That's when ENFPs use introverted intuition. And it's an important checkup to do once in a while, because otherwise you might just be running down opportunities and jumping from platform to platform without knowing where you're going. And it can give you some kind of awareness or understanding of something. But it's not considered a part of your normal flow. And it can even be disregarded or ignored. So INFPs, they use extroverted intuition, but only for the process of trying to add to their understanding. They don't want to change anything in the world. They just want to understand why it happens. But there's more to this as well, and that's found in Introverted Feeling. Like I said before, INFPs are introverted feelers dominantly. It's a part of your normal flow in your day-to-day mental state and who you are at your best. It's when you're thinking about yourself and you understand who you are, it's understanding your own purpose, it is introspecting, it is who am I, what do I want, why am I here, what do I feel like doing, what is my purpose, it's all those things. So with Introverted Feeling, Extroverted Feeling is something you step out to. It's getting outside of your own head, and it's understanding what other people are feeling, and it's reflecting on other people's experiences. It is taking a chance to listen to and hear other people out. It is understanding the people around you. It is getting to know them, and so on. So for an INFP, INFPs perceive themselves as individuals stepping out to get to know the people. And they don't perceive themselves as a part of the community. ENFPs perceive themselves as a part of their community. I am a part of the community, and I'm a part of the people. I'm a part of humanity. I'm connected to everyone and everything. That's the ENFP experience. And their perception of self is their perception of the people. So ENFPs are always in this extroverted feeling process. It's a part of their normal flow, and it's a part of how they see themselves. So INFPs, they don't have this perception. So when they go into the people, they see themselves as an outsider trying to fit in. They see themselves as an individual trying to get understood by the community and by the people. So INFPs search to be understood and to be accepted by the community. INFPs go into extroverted feeling to know that, oh, I am of service, I'm of value to the community, I matter to the community, I matter to the people, I matter to humanity. That's INFPs. INFPs want to matter to humanity. ENFPs, they go into introverted feeling as their auxiliary process or as their inspiration. So they're a part of the people, they are humanity, they are a part of the universe. And then introverted feeling is this reminder of who I am in all this. Who am I in all of this? What is unique about me? Is there something unique about me? Is there something I'm meant to do that nobody else is meant to do? Is there something I have to do in this? That's when the ENFP goes into introverted feeling. It's that like reminder of who you are. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm a person too. And I have these experiences too. And this is something that's unique about me. This is something that I have to do. And this is something only I can do. It's that reminder that, oh, there are things that only I can do. And that's very important to the ENFP's growth. So the final mistype to talk about is perhaps the INFJ mistype. And perhaps that's one of the ones that gets the most shit on the internet. People get really upset when INFPs mistype as INFJ. People get really upset about the stereotypes about INFJs and the ideals and the glorification of INFJs and all that. So there's a lot of things mixed here in the baggage that's making it difficult. What you have to understand is the difference between feeling perceiving and feeling judging. And feeling judging types, we have this overall quality that we appear to be goofy, relaxed around people. We let our guards down. We are, to some extent, diplomatic. We seem like we fit in and like we are connected to the people around us. Feeling and judging is this awareness of our relationships and our connections to other people. As an INFJ, feeling and judging is an active part of my flow and who I am and my identity. So INFJs have a very strong sense of who they are to other people and what they do to other people and their responsibilities to other people. INFPs, they are feeling perceiving types. So they are deeply considerate people. INFPs, the feeling perceiving process is always reporting on their own and other people's feelings. So they're always looking at things relatively. They look at things in always relative terms. That's the feeling perceiving strength, seeing things relatively. I may feel this, but the other person might feel things differently. I may think this, but the other person might see things differently. Feeling perceiving is extremely relative, extremely nuanced. Everyone has their own individual personality, their own individual perspective. Everyone is different from everyone. Everyone has something that's unique about them. That's feeling perceiving. What is unique about you? What do you want? What is your story? What is interesting about you? INFPs are always trying to get to know you. They're always trying to understand you better. They're always trying to get to know how you feel, really feel. So they're always like asking you questions like, so why did you do that? For what reason did you do that? Where does this come from? Like, what made you do this? How do you feel about this? What does this mean to you? Feeling perceiving types, they really just want to know why you did what you did and what made you do it and how it impacted you. They're reporting on you. They're constantly your journalists. They're constantly like writing your diary, writing your stories and helping you write your stories and tell your stories. So they get you to tell your stories. They're great listeners. Only secondly can they go and start communicating with other people. Feeling perceiving types, they tend to always get you talking. They always get you wandering. They always get you telling your story. They always get you communicating with them. And only secondly do they communicate back to you and tell them and tell you, okay, this is who I am. This is what I feel. And this is what I think is important. Often they keep this hidden. They often keep this hidden because it's a vulnerable thing for them. For an INFP, it feels difficult to tell your own story. INFPs often don't want to tell their own story. It's a very hard thing. They rather keep it to themselves. Nobody else will care about this. Nobody else wants to hear this. This is like, that's the feeling INFPs have. INFPs believe nobody else cares about their story. So this is often keeping them from growth. Feeling and judging is the key source of growth in an INFP. When you go into and step into that and start communicating with other people, good things happen. This is true to ENFPs as well. All ENFPs in here, like Vingaren. When you do start communicating with other people and letting them know your story and your cause and what you care about, good things happen. So what you need often as an INFP is to hear that people want to hear your story. You need other people to encourage you to tell your story. You need other people to support you and tell you they're here and they're ready to listen whenever you want to. They're ready to listen. INFPs really need this encouragement. INFJs do not need this encouragement. INFPs are naturally communicative. They're natural storytellers. They're naturally going to want to share with other people. They're going to want to influence you, affect you, impact you. They're going to want to help you. They're going to want to go into your life. They're going to want to talk with you. They're going to want to guide you. They're going to want to get engaged with you. The INFJs engage with you. They talk to you. They communicate with you. They're telling you their story. They're telling you what they care about. They're trying to get you to care about their mission and their cause and what they are interested in. So they're trying to influence you. INFPs, they don't like to influence other people. They're afraid of influencing other people. INFPs are afraid of influencing people in a bad way. I told you, INFPs are deeply considerate types. So they're scared of influencing other people because what if I say that and that person gets hurt? What if I do that or try to help the other person and I mess up and I end up hurting them worse? INFPs are very afraid of influencing you in a bad way. And of course, you have two big weaknesses here. INFP's main weakness is communicating with other people here. INFJ's main weakness is listening to other people and considering other people's experiences. INFJs actually fail to quite a lot. They go in and they try to help other people without listening to other people and what other people want. So it's a good way to tell the two apart. And it goes together with what I said before. INFPs, they see futures as changing. They see many different futures. They see many different what ifs, many different options. Nothing is ever certain. Nothing is ever going to go according to plan or according to vision completely. INFJs, we believe there is a vision, there is a greater path, long-term pursuit that we are headed down towards. So INFPs are always going to be a little bit unsure of their type. They're always going to see the nuances. Feeling and perceiving makes you see relatively who you are in turn to other people. So you're always going to be able to identify with ISFPs and with ENFPs and with INFJs and with INTPs. And you're always going to go like, yeah, I can do that a little bit. And I can always do that also sometimes. And you're going to always be thinking in sometimes, in once in a while, from time to time. I feel like this sometimes as well. And you're always going to have that ability as an INFP. And that's your superpower. There's nothing wrong with that power. There is something great about that. So even after this video, don't be afraid if you're a little bit confused, or don't be afraid if you have a little bit more what ifs left unsolved. Just talk with other people, just keep sharing, just keep being you, just keep doing what you do. And yeah, we're all different, we're all a little bit unique, and that's something awesome. So thanks everyone for tuning in to today's video. I hope this helped you understand yourself better as an INFP, and I hope it helped clear up some differences. And yeah, if you haven't already, do take the personality test and see if you come out as an INFP. Feel free to share the result with me afterwards. Yeah, here's also the INFP article for anyone interested in learning more. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks Tying, thanks Kristin, thanks Adrian. Glad to have you here, Adrian. Yeah, here's my Patreon page as well if anyone wants to donate. And I hope to see you all in my next video.